Spoke with Mark Davis after the game, and Mark let me know that he's not going to be bringing me back.
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
He's back. Jon Gruden is back in the Bay Area. For now, then I'll go to Vegas. It wasn't exactly a well-kept secret. We've known this for a while. The Raiders officially introduced Jon Gruden as their head coach at a presser yesterday in Oakland. So let's take a listen to Coach Gruden. Now, Coach Gruden in his return to Raider Nation.
Obviously, this is very emotional for me. I never wanted to leave the Raiders. I never thought I'd be back. But here I am, and I'm ready to get to work. Number one, I love football. I love the players that play it. I love the preparation. I love the journey. Love football. And I love the city of Oakland. I had a son here. Some of my great memories in life are in Oakland. And I want to give them 2 of the best years of football that I can possibly help deliver. And I love the Raiders. And I'm going to do everything I can. No guarantees, no promises, but I want to win. I feel this is the thing to do. This is what I want to do. This is the organization that I want to be a part of. And I'm all in. I only live one time. This is something that I feel deeply, strongly about. And I'm going to do everything I can to hire a great coaching staff and put the Raiders back on track.
Coach, this is your first pick in 1998. Charles Woodson, I'm with the Oakland Raider alumni. All of us just want to know, is there a no-trade clause in your deal?
You're going to make me want to go home, Charles, back to Florida. There is a no-trade clause. All I want to say to you guys is I want to say this to you guys, all of you. It means the world to me that you're here. And you're welcome. As long as I'm the head coach, all of you are welcome here. I want you guys to be a big part of this Raider organization, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your attendance here today. Some of you guys were actually on time, unlike when I was coaching here. But there's a lot of young players out there, I know this, that have untapped potential, and we have to tap it as soon as they walk in these doors, and I need your help to do that. But thank you guys for being here.
I'm fired up. You know, I want to suit up again, put that silver and black on. You got the coach that you really need right now. You got the coach with the it factor. He's that type of coach. He's going to bring out the best in you, and those players going to want to go on that football field and win football games. So he didn't sugarcoat anything. You know, he said, hey, look, I'm happy to be an Oakland Raider. It's good to be back. Let's go Raider Nation. You know, he's ready to start knocking down doors. He knows football. And he knows how to motivate you and get you focused to go out and play your best football. This is history. It was very important, and you can tell by the turnout with all the older players that showed up. And I think Jon was a little surprised by that because he was like blown away. And, you know, but we love this guy and what he stood for. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for him now. We wanted to give him support, and it was important to be here.
On Tuesday, it will be Back to the Future in Alameda when the Raiders introduce Jon Gruden as their next head coach. And it will look and sound something like it did in 1998.
This is a very exciting day for me in my life. I'm so proud to represent this franchise as their head coach, and I look forward to the days ahead with this organization.
On the heels of a 4-12 season in 1997, Al Davis had to choose between Eagles offensive coordinator Jon Gruden and Jets defensive coordinator Bill Belichick. At the time, Gruden was 34, the youngest head coach in the NFL, and what Gruden lacked in experience, he made up for in bravado.
That's terrible. That'll kill us. We're not posing for football cards. Let's play with some speed. What's the rule? It's always the same 2 guys. Do it again. Do it again.
Gruden was not an instant success on the Raiders' sidelines, mainly because he lacked a quarterback. Jeff George didn't fit Gruden's West Coast system and suffered a groin injury that lingered all season.
I went for a jog last night, and I started feeling a little tenderness in my groin. You know, I don't know what it is around Oakland.
In the offseason, Gruden found his own quarterback, veteran Rich Gannon, who eventually became a league MVP.
That was one of the big criteria for me, was to go to an organization that I thought had a chance to win.
And win they did. The Raiders went 12-4 in 2000, winning the AFC West for the first time since they moved back from Los Angeles.
At least we have this belt. We got this title.
Gruden's fame in the Bay Area went far beyond the black hole, and he maintained his famous fanatical personality at work and at home, according to White Cindy.
We would go on vacation, and he would do 300 push-ups a day, or 600, or he would read the paper, and every word he does a push-up to. That's how he does it. He's nuts sometimes that way.
But Gruden didn't internalize that behavior. His facial expressions earned him the nickname Chucky. From the 1988 horror flick Child's Play.
Are you tired of that Chucky nonsense?
Yeah, a little bit.
What is the origin of that? How did that begin?
You know, we had a guy in Oakland. He went the wrong way on a handoff, and I just kind of lost my mind. Of course, there's 80,000 fans calling you an idiot, and I just had a breakdown of some kind. Harvey Williams, if Harvey's listening tonight, gave me the nickname Chucky, and it stayed with me ever since then.
And this is there some sort of resemblance?
I don't see it.
You don't see it, huh?
Not tonight.
I have to say, they flashed Chucky on the screen doing this, and they flashed John doing this, and it was kind of funny.
The laughs turned silent when Gruden led the Raiders into the postseason in January of 2001. Oakland hosted the AFC Championship, but Rich Gannon got hurt early when big Tony Siragusa fell on his shoulder.
I was really shocked that there wasn't a flag. I hope the NFL will review it. I just thought it was really a bad shot.
And then a year later, I just assumed throwing tea into the Boston Harbor was going to be the most outrageous part of my trip to snowy New England. Boy, was I wrong. The tuck rule changed the course of both franchises that night.
Clearly a fumble.
So you totally disagree with the fact it was overturned?
Damn right I disagree.
I'll go to my grave thinking it was a fumble.
Crushed from the loss, Al Davis began to wonder if Gruden would be worth the hefty contract extension it would take to keep him in Oakland. Rumors began to leak out of team headquarters in Alameda about the coach's future, but Chucky kept showing up for work.
We like the kitchen hot over here anyhow. You know, we like a little bit of distraction. I do personally. I think it'll be good for our team, and I'm excited to get going here.
But Davis famously brokered a deal with the Buccaneers to trade Gruden to Tampa Bay for 4 draft picks, including 2 first-rounders. The owner sent shockwaves throughout the organization.
And when you look at it over a 3-year period, it gives us 10 picks in the first 2 rounds, based on our own draft choices and the draft choices we got from them.
Bring any Chucky dolls with you?
As I'm walking in the house, the phone is ringing, and it's Al. I kind of hear like blah, 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 Jon Gruden, blah, 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 trade. And so I interrupt. I said, I really think that's a bad idea. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to emphasize this as best as I can. I think this is a really bad idea. And he said to me, you didn't hear me. I told you I just did it.
A year later, Gruden beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl and stayed with the Bucs until 2009. Then left for Monday Night Football. For years, he seemed comfortable in the broadcast booth, but always had complimentary things to say about the Raiders from afar.
Do you think the Raiders are headed in the right direction?
This is a rebuilding football team, and they've got some cap space for next year. They've got all their draft choices. They've had some injuries. Reggie McKenzie's the right guy. I'm sure they'll be fine.
Alongside a friend of the program, John Kingdon, and he is very familiar to Raider fans, certainly Raider executives, hired by the Raiders in 1978. He became the team's director of college scouting, a close confidant to Al Davis, and co-authored the book, Al Davis Behind the Shield. And here it is right now. Hot sales during the month of December, as you told me. But, John, when you joined us, first of all, welcome back.
Thanks so much.
And when you joined us the last time, you said that among Al's worst decisions, the departure of Jon Gruden, trading Jon Gruden, was among the top 2. What was your reaction when you found out Gruden was coming back?
Well, I was very much excited for the organization, for the fans, and for the players. And seeing, what went on, particularly last year, I think they're really in for particularly for the players, a real revelation working one-on-one and that closely with Jon. I think the fans, know what to expect, and many in the organization who are still there certainly know what to expect as well.
In what ways did Al Davis restrict Gruden's ability to coach, and in terms of personnel, and how will that change under the current administration?
Well, I think Jon actually had a lot of freedom to coach, and I think what really Al had a real adjustment to Jon was Al was used to coaches not being as prepared as he was. He would go into the coaches' meetings and say, have you thought about doing this? And they'd write it down. But about this? And they'd write it down. When I was in the meetings when Jon, at training camp, have you thought about this formation? Oh, yeah, we put it in. It'll be in there next week. What about this idea of this play? Yeah, we tried it last week. It didn't work. So Jon was, I think, on the same par with Al on that level. So I think that was actually more of an adjustment for Al than it was for Jon. I think Jon is going to have a lot more input in personnel than he did with Al. I think he didn't have it there, and from what I understand, he really wants more input now.
Yeah, let me, that leads to my next question. 10 years, $100 million. How is Gruden going to fall into the power structure? Is he the guy at the top, or does Reggie still have the say, or do you anticipate some changes in the power structure?
Well, again, I'm not there in particular.
Right.
And I've talked to people that are very close with Jon, and one of the issues that I was told by this person very close to Jon was one of the issues that was important for him. A number of issues that were important for him. He wanted to go to a team that wasn't rebuilding. He wanted a team with a legitimate quarterback. He wanted to go to a nice area, a nice city, and he wanted control. Now, that's how I heard it. I like to think that he pretty much could have written what he wanted set up, and we'll certainly see how that ends up.
Yeah, no doubt. In your book, you illustrate clearly that Gruden liked to hold players accountable for their actions during his first tenure with the Raiders. Do you think under the last administration coaching staff, Jack Del Rio, that maybe players weren't held accountable that might be now under Gruden?
And just watching the way they played, I just didn't see that spark or the energy. And again, it's going to be, the first time somebody makes a mistake out there and Jon explodes. I think it's really going to be, like I said, a revelation for all of them. And I think what's really going to be unique for the difference between when Jon first got there and when here he is now. When he got there, he was an unknown quantity, and people challenged him. And we can talk about Larry Brown challenging him. Now, everybody knows Jon Gruden. They know him as a coach. They know him as an announcer. They know him as the quarterback camp. And I think they know not to challenge this guy. And if somebody does, they'll certainly learn to regret it really quickly.
Jon Gruden elevated Rich Gannon's play to an MVP level. Now he walks in with Derek Carr, younger than Gannon was at the time. Gannon and Carr have distinctly different personalities. What did you see in Carr last year that regressed that perhaps Gruden will make better?
I think the leadership aspect, and I don't want to downplay how Derek tried to be a leader, but I think he was, kind of, I'm a leader because I'm going to take all the responsibility, and it's all my fault and such. Rich would call out the players who weren't doing right. You could see him yelling at guys that ran the wrong pattern or that didn't block correctly and such. And I think that that's something that Derek would need to do and probably needs to learn to do. And Jon would be the guy that's going to, I think, would do a great job to direct him in that way to be a leader.
What do you think disadvantages will Gruden have having sat out this long?
I think the biggest thing he's going to learn, and I'm sure he'll do it quickly, is that being away for 10 years, I think the players change. I think that, the salaries have gone way up. I think the players have gotten a little more influential in certain ways. And I think that's just, I don't think it'll take too long. But again, I think he's going to make things run the way he wants it run, regardless of what people are making.
One thing's for sure, under Al, he didn't like Jon getting all the headlines. Remember, that's a good part of your book. He's not going to have to worry about that this time around.
Well, Steve Corcoran even brought up a story to me. Steve, who's just started a website, the Raider snakepit.com, and which is pretty interesting. He's the one that broke the story about the signing coming this Tuesday. But he was talking about a time he was at practice and everyone was talking to Jon. And when Al used to walk off the field, the reporters used to kind of leave whoever the head coach was and go over to Al, and they kind of ignored him. And he kind of hauled out and said, "Hey, I'm the guy that put this together, and everyone kind of looked over. So I think that's another factor.
Yeah, my compliments, by the way, to Steve Corcoran and Jerry McDonald. They've been all over the story. John, great to have you in here. Yeah, hopefully,
I appreciate it.
Hopefully, folks can read Al Davis Behind the Raiders Shield. Terrific book. But it's good to see you again. Thank you
Thanks
for coming
so much.
in.
Always a pleasure.
When you walk through that door for the first time, knowing again, and you're a member of this organization, what was your first thought?
I still don't know. I mean, it's weird, man. It makes me realize what a weird guy I am. It's a weird life. I mean, very few people get a chance to go back where it all started. Very few people ever get a chance to do what I'm doing, and it means a lot. And the more I think about it, the more I really analyze it, the more freaked out I get. It's important to me to do a good job here and prove that they made the right decision.
How will you be different as a coach now?
I think I have to be different because the rules are different. There's a lot of things that have changed. The amount of time that you can spend with the players in the offseason, on the practice field. And maybe today's players are a little bit different than they were. I want to communicate. I want to put the phones down. I want man-to-man, face-to-face communication. I'm looking for passionate people that love football, that really want to deliver for Oakland, that love the Raiders, and that will do anything within the rules to win.
You've had a unique view as a broadcaster to be able to go into each of the 31 other clubs. What advantage is that for you as you go forward?
I think it's a huge advantage. I used to sit here as the coach of the Raiders wondering, what is Marty Schottenheimer doing? What is their facility like? I wonder how they practice. I wonder what their weight room looks like. And as a broadcaster, I got to go to all these teams. I got to see them practice. I got to see their facilities. I got to talk to their coaches. I learned a lot. And hopefully it's an asset in this new job I have.
When you look at a guy like Derek Carr now, what are the attributes in him that you see that can make him a special player?
Well, I think he has what we're all looking for. I mean, he has superb arm talent. He can make all the throws from different body positions. I think he's athletic. I think he's more athletic than people think. I think he's a great person. And I think we got to demand more from Carr. Give him more responsibility at the line of scrimmage. He's got to be a CEO-type quarterback like Drew Brees. He's got to be like Peyton Manning was and Tom Brady is, Phillip Rivers. You got to walk in the building and you got to own it. And we need more from him on and off the field.
When I say to you 10 years, $100 million, what do you think?
I hope I live 10 years. That's what I say. Man, I'm 54 years old, and if I'm not getting it done, you won't see me here for 10 years. And I don't want to take anybody's money. I really don't. I want to earn every dime I make. I don't know if I'll make it 10 years. I don't know if I'll make it 2 years, but you'll get my best shot.
How good can this franchise be?
I think it'd be the best franchise in sports. I really do. I think the Raider brand is a global brand. And I think the history of this place, you saw it today. I mean, how many Pro Bowl Hall of Fame players were here today? It's got an unbelievable tradition, incredible fan base. I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
I'll leave you on this. What's your message to Raider Nation?
Just let's go, man. Let's go. I appreciate you raising me, and I'd appreciate you re-raising me because we got work to do. And I'd really like to open up some more seats. I'd like to pack this place and have a blast with them.